Hello, this is Brian Fox. Welcome to my channel, I Hate Rock Music. And I've decided since I'm here in Seattle and I've been involved in the Seattle music scene since about 1977, I would do a whole series on really cool Seattle bands that a lot of people probably haven't heard, partially because, of course, the entire perception of Seattle rock has to do with grunge, which, of course, is a big deal and it's really cool. And I'm really lucky to have been here and been in the middle of all that. But I've also been here to see that Seattle has had an incredible variety of musicians and bands doing a lot of creative stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with grunge. And so there's a lot of really excellent bands that could compete on a global scale that are as interesting as bands that can be found anywhere else that were doing a lot different things. And so I'm going to commence with a series. And so the first band I'm going to talk about is Idiot Culture. And this was a band that appeared in Seattle in the early 80s. And they started as the Spectators. And I remember seeing shows by them. I would go to clubs to go see someone else, and this really mysterious, awesome band, the Spectators, would be playing. And they were definitely different than everyone else. Had a great rhythm section, and then Byron Duff on guitar and vocals. Really interesting, complex stuff with amazing guitar work, and really not like anyone else. And a lot of their material tended to be on the instrumental side, and Byron Duff was considered one of the greatest guitar players in Seattle. But he had a lot of issues, and so came and went into the scene, and he did his bands and then kind of disappeared. I guess he's kind of a recluse, and that's certainly true. We don't have a lot of material out there by him, but it truly is a unique band, and there is some overlap with grunge, but definitely Byron Duff and his style and his bands was completely different. So they started out involved in a band called The Envy, and then the Spectators appeared in the early 80s. Then by 1986, they changed their name to Dive, and Jack Endino produced a whole album for them, and it definitely is a little more on the grungy side of things. But then they changed their name to Idiot Culture, and finally an album was released, and even though it was recorded quite a few years before it was released, it finally made its appearance. And I'll put the link below and you can check it out. But they were Byron Duff on guitar and vocals, TJ West on bass, and Steve Dodge on drums. And as I pointed out, a really unique band, very angular, a lot of complexity to their tunes. And then Byron Duff's astounding guitar playing. At one point, Bob Mould had played a show with them and said that they were the greatest unsigned band in America. And there's a lot of people in Seattle that remember this legendary band. They really stuck out a lot when they were their Spectators, because there's a lot of punk bands around, and all of a sudden there was this band that had progressive leanings and very complex and amazing guitar work. So they really stood out. I know they made a huge impression on me and influenced my music. And so I also found some rare earlier material by the Spectators that I'll post below as well. But a great band that most people outside of Seattle don't know. Only the diehards who were actually there at the time remember the Spectators and Idiot Culture, but everybody in Seattle that ever saw or heard them will remember them, and an amazing band. And like so many others, it's unfortunate we didn't get a lot more material from them. But they're worth checking out. And as I mentioned, as always, the links are posted below. You can check them out for yourself and discover a band from Seattle that a lot of people have never heard of. Idiot Culture. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.